Disney had this crazy plan when it came to the Little Mermaid, the live action race swap Little Mermaid. They had this crazy plan where they were going to tell everybody that they were racist and they didn't love this. Now, I pointed out very early that I thought this time was just nonsense. It was no way to make any kind of sense at all. Why are you race swapping this character when you could have just made an original movie? Several people disagreed with me, told me I was being a racist, I was being this all kind of another thing. I knew the movie was going to bomb. I knew that for a fact, and it did happen, right? Take a look at the Little Mermaid numbers here. This is it at the end of the domestic box office, 298 million. The international box office, 270 million. So the international box office is less than the domestic box office. Worldwide box office came in at 568 million. Right, now keep in mind, Disney doesn't get all that money, right? Because they will, for the domestic box office, they might get half of it, and for the international box office, might get like about 40% or something like that. It didn't help that China refused to buy into this, and they decided to call the entire country racist. Initially, they said that the budget for the Little Mermaid was 250 million. I couldn't understand why you would spend 250 million on this nonsense. But as per usual, that's not the case. Now we're finding out it's more like over 300 million. Which means it was an even bigger disaster than they let on. Report, the Little Mermaid production budget soared to nearly 300 million, more than doubling its losses at the box office. Now, what I mean by this, now, you look at the numbers here. With 250 million, right? 250 million. The Little Mermaid needed to make, 250 million production budget. We haven't heard the marketing budget because they spent a lot of money to market it out and tell everybody that they were being racist for not loving it. But they spent a lot of money when it came to marketing. So, reasonably speaking, this movie needed to make something in the vicinity of maybe 700 million. Maybe about 700 million. Okay, let's be generous and say 700 million in order to break even. Right? In order to break even, you need to make like about 700 million. It did not make it that far. Even if you're going to say, it could have made 650 million, it kind of seemed like getting some kind of traction. But 700 million is basically what I would say would be a good capping point. It didn't make it. It dropped short at 568 million. That is the one. So it lost almost $200 million. And that is just production. Again, I haven't even talked about marketing. But now they say it's more like 300 million, which means this movie would have had to make something in excess of 850 million to 900 million to even stand that chance. So you see, that's getting worse. Let's get into it. A new report details that recently released the Little Mermaid production budget soared to over 300 million instead of the previously reported 250 million estimate. Variety initially reported the film cost around 250 million to produce in their coverage of the film's opening weekend box office woes. Ellie Schaefer and Pat Sapenstein wrote, with a 250 million production budget, The Little Mermaid must beat box office success in order to make a reasonable return. However, a new report from Caroline Reed at Forbes reveals the film's budget swelled to nearly 300 million by the end of August last year, 8 months before the movie opened. So it swelled almost 300 million by August last year. And that's just up to that point. So more work had to be done from that point. So you're looking at most likely maybe about 350 million or more, but they will never give you the full numbers when it comes to that. But of course, they did film this in the UK, so there is going to be a little rebate for them, so it won't be the exact amount. But again, it's looking at something like over 300 million when it comes to this. Rain's report is based off of filings in the United Kingdom, where she uncovered that the film's production company was filed under the Walt Disney Company's subsidiary Sandcastle Pictures. Those filings also show that Disney did receive a rough $46.6 million tax rebate, which converts to $56.8 million. That means the net budget would decline to $240.2 million. Keep in mind, again, as I said, this is just up to August last year. Moving forward, they had to do more work, more productions, reshoots, all kind of stuff. So the budget would obviously go higher. And we still are not even talking about marketing budget yet. This is just production. However, that net estimate might actually be low given her calculations appear to not factor in any kind of currency exchange or inflation, given the cost for the Little Mermaid production go back to 2019. On top of that, it's possible another report could also come in adding additional costs, given the last report was from August 2022 and the film did not arrive in theaters until May 2023. Yeah, so they have another time. That's like 8 months. So you see the reward point there. More money, I'm telling you, was spent on this, but they will never tell you the exact amount or how much they have this balloon these costs of the production budgets. Rain does note that this filing does not include other post-production costs, which can range in the tens of millions of dollars. So yeah, this thing here doesn't even include, you know, so the amount might already be 300 million, just haven't put that in. Nevertheless, if you use Reed's rough estimate of the production budget, clocking in at 297 million after converting from 243.5 million pounds, the film's losses more than double what many estimates had for the film using the 250 million estimate. According to the numbers, The Little Mermaid only made 569.1 million worldwide, with 298.1 million coming from North America, while 270.9 million came from various international markets. Using the 250 million production budget, the film needed to gross at least 625 million to break even. I still say about 700 million because I am factoring in the marketing costs as well, which would most likely be about, if my estimates are right, probably about 200 million. So I'm thinking at least 700 million to break even. That was my take on it. Obviously, the film did not do that, and thus estimates of its losses came in just shy of 60 million. However, if you adjust the production budget to the new 297 million numbers provided by the UK government, the break-even point moves to 742.5 million. Thus, the losses have increased to 127.8 million. Again, this is just up to what they have now. Clearly, it's going to be more than that. You may be very well looking at about a 350 million budget. Plus, again, you have to factor in the marketing. So this is looking at like maybe you have to get something like about 850 million to break even. Looking at that going to work. That's also using a conservative factor of 2.5 times the film production budget. Star Trek actor and film producer Simon Pegg previously indicated that the Star Trek film needed to make 3 times their production in order to be profitable. He said the fact is Star Trek movies don't make Marvel money. They make maybe 500 million at the most, and to make one now on the scale they've set themselves is 200 million. You have to make 3 times that to make a profit. If one actually needs to make 3 times a film's production budget, The Little Mermaid needs to gross at least 891 million to break even. Exactly. Its losses would then come in at 180 million. At YouTube, reviews, Mr. H reviews reacted to this new production budget and shared his thoughts on what it means to The Little Mermaid. This bombed. This absolutely bombed. I've been saying that from the beginning. He goes on, a staggering waste of money, absolutely unreal, absolutely obscene, absolutely obscene. Of course, he retired it. So this lost cash, a considerable amount of cash, a lot of money, not good, absolutely abysmal, woeful in fact. Yeah. Now, my thing about it, I want to say this inclusive because there's so much more I could talk about how this is just an absolute a disaster. But let's say this inclusive because I think I've already made my piece. This was garbage, then I was doomed to fail. You could have spent that same 350, well, that same 250 million, 300 million, whatever, and made an original mermaid movie with a black mermaid in it. But no, when you're so in depth into this whole virtue signaling woke nonsense that you figure you need to just race swap Ariel and establish Disney princess, change the entire basis of the story, and tell everybody, listen, you're an absolute bona fide racist if you don't love this, because we say so. That doesn't make you any kind of hero, any kind of anything. It just makes you look incompetent and stupid. You wasted an abysmal amount of money on something that was doomed to fail. The people who were saying that they were going to show up in this movie, some of them showed up, many of them didn't, because nobody is buying this crap anymore. They're seeing you for what you are. They're seeing what you're doing for what it is, and people are walking away from it. You could have spent money and made a new original mermaid movie that people would have actually really enjoyed. But because you don't want to do that, and because you only find legitimacy in white characters, the best thing to do is to make crap and then scream and the top of your lungs at everybody. You're a racist, you're a racist, you're a racist, you're a racist, you're a racist. Well, guess what? Now you're broke. You wasted money. It fell flat on its face, and reports keep coming on about how much you have lost, flushed down the drain behind this crap. I hope it was worth it. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, try to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell for every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.